Hey guys, thank you for joining us for another Men's Bible Brief. If you can, join us on Wednesday mornings. The information is on the screen. If not, we got you covered on YouTube right here. Well, let's go ahead and join the brief in progress. God bless you. What's up, fellas? Thank you for joining us for another Men's Bible Brief. And it would seem conveniently or apropos that today's Bible brief will be an open mic Bible brief, considering that we just come off the heels of an election on last night. And there were a lot of things that were said. Basically boils down to three questions, and we'll deal with that. And so we'll jump into that in just a moment. Just as a quick reminder, don't forget this is Men's Weekend. Make sure you sign up for our Friday event at the Golf Ranch through the church app. We'll be at the church on Saturday morning at 10. We won't hold you long, but really want to talk about guys, our brothers and their families, and how do we navigate that? How do we lead our families? How do we be that spiritual head or spiritual priest that God is calling us to be? Have some conversations around that. And then, of course, my good friend, Pastor Stephen Brown, will close out Men's Weekend with a message on Sunday. So it's going to be a great weekend. Love to hang out on Friday night, 7 p.m. the Golf Ranch. Come on out. Make sure you register through the church app. There is a $20 fee, which is the fee to do the Golf Ranch, and would love to see you there and love to share. The Hump Day Food for Thought is right here. You must learn to trust that there is a future waiting for you that is beyond what you may be able to grasp at this present moment, and that's the Chomsky. And so that's a good word for our point. So for the most part, guys had a lot of things to say which centered around the election. We really didn't get into any other topics considering that we were coming out of the election on last night. And really, you can boil the entire conversation down to three questions, and I'm going to just raise them. Number one, which I thought was the best question of the entire session, how are we to live as Christians in light of the election result? And is it possible to unify and reconcile with those that disagree with us? I thought it's a two-part question, but I thought that was a great question. And I would say we would continue to live light in darkness. I think some of us are being challenged to be involved in a way that makes a difference in the world. It could be politics. I'm a little hesitant to get involved in politics because sometimes politics can hijack your faith voice. I'm not willing to do that. Have to be careful. I'm going to be true to the gospel, true to my faith. At the same time, I'm going to encourage my people and those issues, at least the communities that I serve, that will best serve them. And so maybe God is calling you to a ground game to be more involved at different levels instead of waiting every 4 years to be involved. Or it doesn't even have to be politics. It can be in different areas that are underserved as a result of bad politics or even decent politics, but yet some people may be overlooked. Maybe God is calling you in that area, and it is a time to rethink at least what God is calling us to do, which is more than just going to church on Sunday morning, but making sure that we experience life change, that God changes our hearts, that we might make a difference in the world, that we might be light in darkness. And so I thought that was good. In terms of unity and reconciliation, as I understand the biblical principle of reconciliation, there must be integrity and honesty on both sides. And there's a sense that if true reconciliation can happen, we must be honest about the issues that divide us, the things we may have said, and the sins we have committed, and there must be some confession and some repentance. So I'm assuming that. In other words, we don't want just to have a kumbaya moment where we sing a few songs and we prayed a few times, but we really don't get to the hard issues. And to me, just because you had a good worship service or you had a good song and everybody cried for a moment does not mean you've experienced reconciliation. No, it requires some confession. It requires putting some things on the table. It requires admitting that, hey, I've said this wrong. The tone was wrong. We need to get this right. And I think both sides of the fence has some atoning to do in those aspects. And so if we are willing to do that, we can. I think there are people who are willing to do that. I think some people on both sides of the fence will never reconcile. But as I've always said, I just think events like this really reveals where people's hearts are, what they really believe. And as I said, for me, on Sunday morning, this past Sunday, when we prayed, I didn't pray for a particular candidate. I didn't pray for a certain wave. I prayed that more than anything, we'd come out more loyalty to the one who sits on the throne. whoever's in office. And I do have strong convictions about one against the other. But regardless of who wins the election, my prayer last Sunday for the church at our altar call was that, God, we would remain resolute in our commitment to you. We will trust you for what you're doing in this time. And that still is my prayer. And again, I am pushed to be involved in certain places, and I'm trying to work through that. And I hope everybody listening would work through that as well. But ultimately, we trust the one who raises up one and puts down another, as Daniel 2 says, because he's still on the throne. That's the first question. The second question was the issue of fear and the lack of truth. The truth is, we're in a culture where fear works and a absence or a lack of truth works. You don't have to tell the truth to get a following. You can use fear to drive your point away. And that's truly how our society is. And I'm not sure how Christians navigate that kind of society. I'm not going to compromise the truth, and I'm surely not going to live in fear. I didn't come to Christ out of fear. I did not come to Christ out of fear. I didn't come to Christ because I was afraid that I would burn in hell. That's not why I came to Christ. I came to Christ because I believe the gospel is true. I came to Christ because I believe grace is real. I came to Christ because I believe Jesus and the kingdom is the only true answer for the world and God's way as he's going to make the world right. That's why I'm a Christian more than anything. And I don't want anyone to experience the consequences of rejecting the gospel. But I didn't come out of fear. And too much of what is spoken of in this culture is fear-driven, not just with the country, but even the church. We adopt ideas based on fear or the lack of truth. And so my two words when it comes to truth or lack of truth or absence of truth, primary sources. I read an article, and an article may quote somebody. If they don't have a link, I usually have a hard time accepting what's going on in the article. I want to read the primary source. I want to see the footnote. I want to see the citation. Link me to the video. Let me see the full narrative for myself and allow me to make my own decision. I don't need you to make a decision for me. I can read for myself. And I think that's what we have to be committed to. And then the last one, which I think is important, is the place of mental health. Because these scenarios, along with the pandemic, really caused an increase in mental health over the last 7 to 8 years. And why would we think that such an experience would not happen today? And so that question was raised. How do we handle the mental health? Of course, the church has to take the lead on that. We have to speak to it. We have to create environments where people can access the resources as well as the people to help them with mental health. And I think we got to continue to do that and to trust and to believe God that God can give us the stability and the peace in difficult times that may lie ahead of us. And so that pretty much was the gist of the session. There was a lot said, but I'm just trying to summarize and give you just a quick synopsis of what was really communicated in that session. So God bless you. Again, I want to encourage you guys, sign up for the men's weekend. I'm really looking forward to it. I just want to hang out with the brothers. We don't get a chance to do that much. We've done the bowling thing. Some of y'all tired of doing the bowling thing, so we thought we'd switch it up. One of our good brothers, Ricky Parker, he's a tremendous golfer. He'd love to be there just to talk to you if you're interested in getting a few tips. He is the man, big time. But more than anything, just want to hang out with the brothers, share. Maybe we can go deeper in some of these issues and other issues as we become the men that God calls us to be. God bless you. I'll be looking for you Friday, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.